Hi and welcome to Thete Gaming, where I'm going to go over my initial reaction to some of the new rules for the Soulblight Gravelords. Although first thing, however, and this is going to be a recurring theme, it has been a recurring theme for me, not at all happy with Games Workshop. Again, you know, if this company wasn't making the products it sells, like from the point of view of making products, sort of okay, they've got criticism, sort of okay. In terms of selling, they're absolutely dreadful. If they were not making the products they sell, I wouldn't be using them. It's really all that simple. I've said in the past that their limited edition runs are too small. Of course, a limited edition run will sell out. The whole point of a limited edition run is to get excitement, get lots of people buying it, and maybe they buy some other things as well. But when it sells out in 5 minutes flat, you didn't make enough. And when you keep doing it, it's not like, oh, we did this thing. Oh, no, it was more popular than we thought. It's always happening. And the madness is, it isn't just bad in terms of PR. It hurts Games Workshop more directly because they're losing out on money. If they were to have made 2, 3, 4 times as much in some cases, they'd have made much more profit. You know, they are losing out on money. I would expect a limited edition product to not sell out for a week. Now, so far, I haven't personally fallen foul of this. Tell a lie, actually, no. So when I'd returned to the hobby a few years ago, and a bit later that year, I couldn't get the limited edition Beasts of Chaos stuff, which included the warscroll cards, because it sold out before I logged on and did that. But that's because I waited an hour or two. Since then, I've always been on the website about 15 minutes before, refreshing it, so that as soon as it goes live, it's in the basket and I'm buying it. And touch wood, always managed to get what I wanted. Now, it did go a bit wrong with Cursed City, but I got away with it because I managed to pre-order from Goblin Gaming instead. But now, with one of my absolute favourite armies of all time, Vampire Army, you know, and I've not been able to get the limited edition Soulblight Gravelords battletome. It was in the basket, got it in the basket. I was there. As soon as it came live, I was straight into it, got it in the basket, but it was slow checking out and there was a problem. Turned out it was removed from the basket. Well, it wasn't removed from the basket. I eventually saw the message saying, oh, one of these items is out of stock. Let you guess which one it was. Turns out it was that one. So between me loading up my basket, which I did as soon as the website went live, and completing the checkout, gone. So that's not even selling out in 5 minutes. That's selling out in a few seconds. But, you know, it's disappointing. But, you know, it's not like I won't be able to get the product at all. I'll still be able to get a battletome. It's not as bad a situation as the poor buggers who couldn't get, say, Cursed City. And never will. You know, so you move on. It's really poor business from Games Workshop. And it's annoying for me. But of course, I am still excited that I will be able to get my army of vampires on the battlefield this year. Not sure when. There's various possible things I'm trying to get sorted for that. But it is coming. It is going to come. I mean, I could, before, you know, it's the resin Blood Knight models. I've mentioned it before. They're a bit of a pain to get on AOS bases. I did actually manage it with some, but there were weak points of contact. And I'm not great at modelling. Couple broke off, so I gave up until the new plastic models became available. I just said, right, I'm leaving that until they come out with. And I was actually at the point where I was thinking, do you know what, I'm just going to get some Black Knights, paint them red and call them Blood Knights. I was actually there, and I wish I'd done that. But there we are, where we are. They're coming. Well, soon anyway. And the rules look a bit tasty from what I've seen so far. You know, the Blood Knight rules. They get an extra movement rule. Now, I don't know if they get the old Legion of Blood rule whereby you get an extra attack. Maybe, maybe not. But being able to move out of combat, do some damage to your opponent, like Hex Wraiths, and then charge back in with your charge bonus, that's amazing. They've also got a straight up 3-up save, which will work better with Neferata's improved Dark Mist spell, I thought. Because before Blood Knights, what was it? It was a 4-up save. But you did get a 3-up save against no rend attacks with the shields. But Dark Mist blocked all modifiers to save. So if you use that spell on them, it was a 4-up unmodifiable save, not your 3-up. Now the spell only stops negative modifiers. So I thought straight away, right, Blood Knights are going to be all right. But then Blood Knights don't get positive ones anyway. So it's worked out both ways. Either way, they're now better. They're also cheaper than before. They're only battle line with a specific dynasty taken. They were only battle line with Soulblight before. There's a specific dynasty now. Until I clap eyes on the battletome, I cannot comment on whether it's a dynasty I would like to take. But do you know what? 195 points for 5 of these looks pretty good to me. And even if I don't need them to be battle line, I'm taking a few of them. Now, in general terms, and like I say, I've not seen the battletome yet, other than the leaked points values on units. And no doubt some of you will have seen more, but the Games Workshop website had removed Legions of Nagash. So I think we can take it that that's no longer going to work. Now, obviously, parts of it weren't going to work anyway. The Legion of Blood, the Legion of Night, and the Soulblight bits have been replaced with the new battletome. But, you know, there was still Grand Host of Nagash, Legion of Sacrament, and you thought, you know, if you wanted to mix vampires and Nighthaunt, for example, which, you know, I've done, it looks like that's not happening now. Now, that's a shame in one way, but it's totally understandable. See, we've moved away from the idea of the Grand Alliances let you mix all and sundry. It's really hard to balance that. So I'm comfortable with that. It's okay. I mean, yes, it'd be great. Vampires leading ghosties, but I'm okay with that. Now, as I say, for all I know, there's a battalion in the book that lets you mix the two. You know, like you get in Cities of Sigmar for various order units. But I've not heard about that. So I'm guessing it's not in there other than through allies. No, that's okay. Now, in terms of the vampire characters, there's a hell of a lot of them. They're not all available for pre-order, so I can't look at the rules of all of them. But I noticed that the healing of summonable units has gone. That now seems to be the preserve of the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. They all get heals themselves. You know, if they can heal themselves, if they kill something in combat, as was, you know, standard before for most of them. That being said, the summonable keyword is still present in new warscroll cards. So that must have some relevance. I'm thinking, do they still have the Graveguard's ability in some format? Don't know. But I can wait till next week to find that out. Now, there are a few curious little things. So I was looking at the new Vengorian Lord. It's a big thing with the wings on the structure. Another fiddly model that's going to be a bugger to transport. But it has an ability whereby it can roll for a chance to run and charge. But the way it works is you have to roll equal or less than the current battle round. So you've got a much higher chance of getting that ability later in the game when running and charging are less likely to be useful. So that's a bit of a weird one. Throw away that one. Hopefully that didn't add too many points to their cost. The ability to reduce the rend of enemy weapons within 3 inches is nifty though. Very good support for Blood Knights, I'm thinking. Because its attacks are decent as well. Bit swingy with a few D6 attacks that are like... it's either forced to hit or forced to wound. I can't remember. So it could be a bit swingy. But, you know, it's got useful combat abilities. It's got a useful combat support spell as well. So it could be interesting. Neferata and Manfred look better. But have also had their points adjusted upwards. The new Lauka Vi special character, who's like the Vengorian Lord model, but a special version of it. Only 5 points more than the Vengorian Lord, but gets a charge damage ability. So you charge him. There's other units that have similar abilities, like in Oryx, for example. For your charge roll that many dice, each 5 up does a mortal wound. Nice. Another useful utility spell as well. Only 5 points more, well worth it. It is restricted by dynasty though. So I suppose it depends whether you'd want to take that dynasty. The standard bearers now give units the ability to reroll ones on deathless minions, you know, which is their special save. So that's, on balance, I would take that. I would say that's, you know, leadership debuff's useful, but this may be more useful. And there's no musicians in like the skeletons, so no minimum charge of 6 for them anymore. Now that was a fairly powerful ability, but I don't mind seeing that go. It was quite powerful. Still, something else that is powerful is that if you let your opponent go before the skeletons in combat, you know, they kill anything, you roll a die for each one. On a 4-up, it gets back up. This will make them a much better roadblock unit. There is a maximum size of 30 though, so as with Graveguard, the difficulty there is in being able to actually survive a round of combat from witch elves or the like. But if you can imagine them rushing in and killing 20 of them, sword you out, and then 10 of them get back up again. Zombies are a little different. Their bonuses to hit are gone, for example. Was it hits and wounds? I can't remember. In fact, it was both, wasn't it? So they're now just crap in combat. They are just 5s to hit, 5s to wound. Even if you have a massive block of them, not that you can have a massive block of them because they've been limited now to 40 per unit. But if you do manage to kill anything with them on a 2-up, you can add a new zombie to the unit. They can also fight from 6 inches away and pile in 6 inches. So another good unit for a roadblock or an objective holder in a different way. Again, it's the sort of thing that can be wiped out in one go. That's my hesitation with it. A dedicated murder unit like Witch Elves, like Plague Monks, could actually just wipe it out in one go. So that's your issue there. So I'm not sure they have as much staying power as they did in Legions of Nagash, but they are the units that you will have for that role. Graveguard look a bit tasty as well. They've switched things up with the great weapons. So instead of it having a better chance to wound, it's now a worse chance, but it does 2 damage. Also, the chance to hit is the same for either weapon, so it's 3s to hit, doesn't matter what weapon you use, but 6s to wound do a mortal wound in addition. Now, I tended to prefer the great weapons before anyway. I sort of thought, well, you know, taking the shields makes them more survivable, but if you want a unit to just block something, use zombies or skeletons or Grimghast Reapers, not using that now. If you're going to take Graveguard, you do want them to do some damage, so take the great weapons. But I think I'll now definitely go with that because it's the same chance to hit. You're going to be generating just as many of those 6s to wound. But then, you know, with the wounds that you do as well, you're going to be doing 2 damage each. Now, these guys do get the Musician with the old rule of minimum charge of 6, which I'll say is a powerful rule, so that's good as well. Same points cost as before, so the points cost of them hasn't changed. You can only have 30. There's no discount as well for maximum size units here. So it's a case of, can you survive the onslaught? Now, there's a distinct glass cannon feeling to the unit. But like I said, I don't know the relevance of that summonable keyword yet. Is it something similar to in Legions of Nagash? Obviously, the invocation's not there, so you can't have vampires raise them up. Because otherwise, I mean, you could take a lot of vampire characters and just keep boosting them up. But I'll just have to wait for next week to find out the relevance of that. Then you've got the Crimson Court, which is the Underworlds unit. The Vampire Lord, very similar to just the standard Vampire Lord on foot. Same combat stats, but 2 damage instead of D3. So average is the same, but more consistent. They don't get special abilities anymore. You can't give them the ability to fly, for example. Now they're just Vampire Lords on foot. They can heal themselves if they kill anything. They have a spell, level 1 wizard. But what we haven't had with Crimson Court is the Morgweth situation, you know, whereby the whole unit is cheaper than the individual hero and you get the retinue on top. It's reasonable value. It's 200 points by the looks of it, as opposed to 140 points for Vampire Lord on foot. So it's effectively an extra 60 points for the retinue of 3 vampires, one of whom will have 3 wounds. So it's an extra 5 wounds of models, which for 60 points, and they're okay in combat as well, and they can move as if they can fly. Worth it. If you're thinking of getting a Vampire Lord on foot, just a basic Vampire Lord on foot, and you don't particularly want to give it a relic, and you just think, if I can stretch to the extra 60 points, that's going to be better value, I think. What I'd really like to see are the new rules for Direwolves. Now, I sort of anticipated this because there's a lot of new models. So yeah, they weren't all likely to become for pre-order this weekend. Direwolves was one of the ones that's not available for pre-order. It's a bit of a shame because they are battle line. Maybe they'll be out next week. But as the models, because they're not available for pre-order, the war scrolls aren't on the website yet. I did try and look at the old Direwolf models, but they haven't got the new war scrolls there. So that makes it tricky to judge what I think of the new Fellbats, which are available. The new war scroll is available there. You look at the moment, they don't have any of the old rules really. They're just basic, cheap, fast units. They've got a 14-inch move, 3 wounds each, 75 points for 3. But beyond being able to retreat and charge, which is of niche use when you don't get charge bonuses, it's not that it's not useful, but it's not always going to be useful. If you had charge bonuses like with the Blood Knights, for example, yeah, absolutely. So because I don't know exactly how the Direwolves are, it could well be that the Direwolves would do the job of the Feldbats can do better. And Direwolves are battle line as well. Direwolves are also cheaper per wound. You know, if you just want something to tie up a unit, you just want a block of wounds to absorb some damage, the Direwolves are cheaper for that. So I don't know if Feldbats are going to have a significant role. I will inevitably get, well, I will get some. I've already ordered some. I'm sure their movement will be higher than for Direwolves, and of course they can fly. But that may compensate a bit. But if that's all they've got, I'll just have to see. But those are my initial thoughts anyway, looking through the warscroll cards. We were also given a look at some Legion of Blood and Legion of Night rules on Warhammer Community, which are interesting. But I think I'd like to see everything together before commenting there. Don't really want to look at things in isolation. That being said, the Legion of Night looks to have some very interesting tactical options. I liked the Legion of Blood before in Legion of Nagash, mainly because I like Blood Knights. I like the idea of a vampire army, and it gave the Blood Knights +1 attacks. So I haven't seen that is the case here. I don't know if it doesn't have the +1 attacks, but if there's some benefit to having a more vampire-themed army. So I'll wait for the full battletome whenever that gets delivered. It's taking a while at the moment. They're obviously struggling. At the moment, and I've been ordering quite a lot recently, and it's been taking a good week or more to be delivered. And when it does arrive, of course, it's going to break up my bookshelf with the non-limited edition spine that it will have. Bloody Games Workshop. But anyway, those are my initial thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to give it a click, a like, or something. Click the button that likes, or the one that doesn't like. And until next time, I'll see you later.